Week 2 Vector Project Overview. So for your project, you're going to have to talk about vectors, and you're going to be building some kind of tower. Now that tower, I'm hoping you will make out of things that you have already in your home. The purpose of this is not for you to go out and get anything additional. Look around your house, see what you have, see if you can figure out something that you could make this out of. Things that you could make a tower out of include things like straws, newspapers, magazines, toothpicks, any of those kinds of things. You're going to want to be able to attach those to each other somehow. It might be in the form of duct tape, it might be in the form of masking tape, it might be glue, I don't know, it depends on what you have at your house. So let's talk about a tower maybe that you have seen. A lot of times you'll drive down the highway. I know at like 48th Avenue, they have a cell phone tower there. So when you're driving down the highway, if you see a cell phone tower, what does it kind of look like? If I flew a drone over the top of that cell phone tower and looked at it from the top down, this might be what the cell phone tower looked like. You would call this a triangular shape. And there would be a tall pole or a pillar in each of those corners. Now, if I looked at it from the side, this long, tall, skinny one right here would be that pole. If I took that off of the tower and just looked at it by itself, it would look like that. Now, what we're going to do with the towers is you're going to put weights on the towers. Again, it depends on what you have in your house. Do you have free weights at your house? Some people do weightlifting and have weights that you take on and off of a bar. Sometimes they're round, they got a hole in the middle. You could put the weights on top of your tower. You could use books. I'm sitting in my library right here. I've got books on my shelf. You could take books and start stacking books on top of your tower. You could, maybe you've got some bricks out in the garage. I don't know. What do you have at your house that you could use to kind of show that your tower supported weight? In the directions, it asks you to take a couple of pictures. It asks you to take a picture from the top, like you were a drone looking at it from above. And then it also asks you to take a picture from the side view. Now, you feel free to go ahead and look up towers online. They might have some ideas that I didn't think of even. So anyway, this pillar right here, this pole is pointing straight up. So we would say that that particular vector is an FY vector. It's going to support the weights, so it needs to be pushing up to support the weights, which are pushing down. It's meant to balance them out. And because it's pushing up, it would be a positive FY. Now, a lot of times you'll see symmetry when you're looking at towers, like those cell phone towers. And the reason you see symmetry is to take and keep the tower balanced left and right. So let me explain this. I have two vectors here that make up this X. By the way, triangles are really strong structures, which is a lot of times why you see buildings built out of triangles. So you have a vector that is going up and to the right. If I were to draw that vector up and to the right, remember, we can take a diagonal vector and break it up into components. So we would have a positive Y component, and we would have a positive FX component. And the reason that's a positive FX, of course, is because it's going to the right. Left and right are your X's. This is a positive Y because it's going up and down are your Y's. And we could break that particular part, this part right here, up into these pieces. Now, what about the other part of the X? What about this part of the X right here? If I were to draw that one, it would have gone up and to the left. If I were to break that into pieces, I would have an up piece which would represent a positive Fy because it's going up, and it would have an X piece, but it's pointing to the left, so it would be a negative Fx. Now here's what happens in a tower. You have this negative Fx and this positive Fx, and those vectors will actually be exactly the same size, and a positive Fx and a negative Fx that are the same size, when you add them together, it's gonna equal 0. So if I take those two and I add them together, a positive Fx and a negative Fx, I'm gonna get 0. In other words, the tower won't tip to the left or tip to the right because one of those numbers is bigger. It's gonna be balanced out so that it doesn't tip. When you do your projects, we want you to talk about your Fx vectors and your Fy vectors, and hopefully you've done symmetry so that everything will balance out and your tower won't tip. I look forward to seeing your pictures. Good luck.